Star Wars is of course known for its cities like Theed and Coruscant, but also has a handful of underwater cities. In possibly the most underrated and least explored aspects of the Star Wars universe, let's take a look at some underwater cities. Starting off by going to Mon Cala and its capital city, Mon Cala City, that was built over a coral reef and home to the Mon Calamari and qureen species. The city's skyscrapers were intentionally designed to resemble the famous Mon Calamari Star Cruisers. The city wasn't entirely underwater, as it did have a floating city section above the world's endless oceans. Above the water hosted a spaceport and manufacturing, but underwater is where people lived and the government of the planet was seated. And during the Battle of Mon Cala, we can see the inner city's workings with water tubes for easy transportation acting as a highway and also most likely for safety, as the waters of Mon Cala host a number of cryptic creatures. Mon Cala also had Bell City, which was very similar to Mon Cala City, and it resided underwater completely. But the qureen population on Mon Cala primarily lived in Qureen Town, deep in the murky waters of Mon Cala, unlike the blue coral reefs of Mon Cala City. And it looks like the qureen lived in pods, again for safety, and this shows us the stark difference of how qureen and Mon Calamari lived on the planet. Going over to Naboo and the home of the Gungans, Otoh Gunga, also known as Gungan City, was located under the depths of Lake Paonga on Naboo, with its unique bubble-like buildings that were in fact hydrostatic force shields that contained breathable atmospheres for their occupiers, and they had special portals that allowed for the inhabitants to enter and exit. And since the Gungans actually grew the building material for their cities coming from the natural plasma of Naboo and bubble wort extract, the only non-natural materials were the stone pillars anchored to the lake floor. It hosted about 1 million Gungans, and the city was also home to their own political system separate from the Naboo royalty, and the city was actually constructed underwater to avoid contact with their neighbors living on the surface. And unlike the elegant structures of Mon Cala, the Gungan City takes inspiration from fish eggs. But Otoh Gunga was full of rich culture from the Gungans, notably its restaurants and districts. The city was built thousands of years ago, still maintaining its ancient quarter, alongside with gardens and a racetrack for submarines for entertainment. The city's bubble structure could also exist above ground like in Jan-gwa City, partially underwater but sat mostly behind a waterfall and above the water. But one thing is for sure, these bubble structures needed water to exist. And that's about all we have for underwater cities in the Star Wars universe, and we definitely need more underwater cities and species to inhabit them, and I wonder if on Trask, where many qureen and Mon Calamari fled from the Clone Wars and Empire, if the watery moon has any underwater secrets yet to be uncovered. But there certainly are plenty of planets that could host more underwater cities, and I hope to see them in the future. But for right now, that's a quick look at some underwater cities in the Star Wars universe. Comment down below, subscribe if you would like, and until next video, goodbye.